Stand in Tadasana. We've waited for everybody. Whatever. I'm going to tell them they have to bring their props back if they're not going to show up for class. Tadasana. So join your feet, big toes together. And the heels can be apart, but lift up your toes and spread them out, you know. Then draw the glutes, firm the glutes in, not together toward the sacrum, but in. Take that tailbone in. And you feel right away, by doing that with your feet and your legs, I hope you feel more stability. Then the arms, of course. And if you're at a wall, hopefully you can feel some reference to the wall all the way up. If you're not, you have to imagine. But practice later on at a door. It's a really good thing to do. Running through your day, you're going 100 miles an hour, stop. Just take a moment. Stand in Tadasana at the door. There's plenty of things you can do at the door. You can reach up, try to grab the top of the door. You can reach out, put your forearms on the side of the door and lean your chest forward. And if you're at a wall, you can practice by bringing your elbows back to the wall and then noticing if your head goes forward or whatever happens, right? You can do all of those things in the door, less than 5 minutes, give yourself a little break, and it's a good thing. So with the arms up, notice what you did. And did the lumbar move forward, or did you hold firm with your sacrum and your tailbone? And then come down. And again, Tadasana, and reference the back body. Notice what the back body is doing. Pull your shoulders back and lift that thoracic spine. You remember that's this part, the thoracic spine, in and up. But the tailbone then has to keep going down. Otherwise, you get sway back. All right, arms, palms up. This time it's Baddha Anguliasana. Interlock your fingers. Revolve your palms to the ceiling and make sure that the index finger knuckle is revolved. That's easier to do right now where you can really have your mind on it. Firm your legs, tailbone, pubic bone in and up. Begin to bring your arms up, but not quickly because I want you to think about lifting the sides of the body. So work for a second or two with the elbows still bent. Lift your elbows up. To see that that stretch is going through the side of the body, then the knuckle of the index finger up, and then soften those ribs down. Can you keep the lift up as you soften the ribs down? And then bring your hands down, change your interlock, get your posture back, bring your hands back right over your head. If you're at a wall, you can work at bringing your elbows back. But when I did that, because I wasn't paying attention, I was talking to you, my lumbar went forward. I let my abdomen go a little bit. So that's how we learn. Through the practice of yoga, we notice. We're asked to notice and improve. Bring your arms up. And don't get too quick. Elbows and lift the side of the body and then the arms. And bring that down. Then we're going to, I'm just going to show, turn around and just bring your hands right here on your sacrum. Then, and I'm just showing, get your posture, bring your shoulders back and down, Neck is long, head is back. And then begin to slide your arms down. Watch the front body. Don't let the front body go as you begin to work these shoulders back. Even if your elbows don't bend, well, don't straight, you can still use pulling the elbows back to bring the shoulders back. Oh, and look, don't do that. So the back of the head goes back and up. Stretch that down, lift your chest, and breathe. And release that. Then, if you have a wall, I hope you have a wall somewhere nearby. You can run over and close the bathroom door. Wait. We're gonna just put your hands on the wall and stand about a foot and a half or 2 feet away. And take your arms up the wall, firm legs, tailbone in, chest up, and just lean into the wall. Rest your forehead on the wall. Keep the abdomen lifting. Stretch those arms. It can be instructive to come in and out of that a couple of times to notice, do both arms touch the wall at the same time, or are you crooked? All right, let's come out of that. So now, Lee, do you not have a wallet that you can use? Okay, yeah. Okay, so this time, this is the one, the shoulder one, that we're going to begin. And this puts a big stretch across here. And I know that the two of you know, but just in case others watching don't know, I had breast cancer in 1989. I had reconstruction. There are 2 silicone boobs underneath my pectoral muscle. So there's a tendency, very big tendency, for me, this is more comfortable because this muscle has more room, right? So my upper body posture, I'll have to pay attention. This muscle has to go further than it would without that, because your breasts are normally above that muscle, not under. So, especially if you've had any kind of surgery like that, and of course you're well healed, this is important. But even without that, you may be tight in here. So start a little bit away from the wall. You're going to have your arm shoulder height, your trunk perpendicular, and just start a little bit away from the wall and move your pelvis away from the wall. Just twist your trunk toward the center of the room. You won't go very far, more than likely, but you'll get a very good stretch in the armpit and the shoulder, this whole area up in here. And release it, and then see, can you get about an inch closer? And get yourself your Tadasana action. Lift up tall, roll that shoulder down. It's also a temptation to let this shoulder roll up. Roll it down. Straighten the elbow. Lift the chest. Feel that stretch. And move your trunk, your hips toward the center of the room. Depending on the intensity that you're experiencing, you're going to be slower. It might be wise if you have a strong response there. Release it slightly and then repeat it. This touch and go action can help open an area. And then one more. Eventually, let's see. We want to get our shoulder on the wall. Can you get any closer? Maybe it doesn't go all the way, but close. And then release it. I think my arm was going to drop off. All right, let's try this way. So get, I'm probably, we're not, hopefully you won't need to be more than a foot from the wall. Get as close as you can get with feeling some sensation, but as a nice introduction to what you're about to ask of your body. All right, so your arm is shoulder height, the shoulder rolls down, lift your chest, turn your trunk toward the middle of the room. Again, it won't go to the middle of the room, but you move that direction. And if it's intense, soften it for a moment, regain your posture, and go again. Work your way into these poses. And especially if you have breast cancer or any kind of an injury to that area, even a shoulder injury, work with some compassion, but work with determination as well. Can you move in an inch? Keep that lift, keep your posture. Work in and out. Shoulder down, chest up. One more time, a little closer. Eventually, the shoulder goes to the wall. And we open. This is something that I hope that you take a little time to work on these. Okay, release it. Work on these on your own, because this is something that can tighten up pretty quickly. Okay, we can stop and turn around. So this is an area because of how we live, right? I mean, we do everything like this, driving our car, cooking, sewing, painting, gardening, whatever. We do so much of this. We do very little of that, right? And so it's important to us in order to maintain our range of motion to practice this. Okay, so then let's do some wall push-ups, or you can do chair push-ups, or you can do floor push-ups, whatever you're big enough to do. On the wall, you're going to stand about, well, just stand arm's distance. If that turns out to be too far, then you can get closer, okay? Let's start arm's distance and see. Now, when we do our push-ups at the wall, we want to keep our elbows in. We want the action to go where the elbows move alongside the body and the trunk is lifted. The legs are strong, tailbone is in, chest is up. So bend your elbows and take your trunk to the wall till your head touches, not because you bend it, but because it gets there. We're going to do about 10 of those. Heels can come up, but try to keep them down. And when you're done, just turn around, because Lee is the only one I can see. So this is basically your class, Lee. All right. So now let's get on the floor. And get 2 blocks. And we're going to sit in Virasana. So my knobby knees need a little support. Yours may not. We all have to figure out what it takes for us. You may need, I know, Lee, you need a little bit of support behind your knees. for sitting. So that you have something to sit on. And even if you don't, I mean, you know, I can sit down on the floor between my feet, but when you're starting a practice, when you start to practice, your body's not quite warmed up. And particularly on a day, if maybe you're not, or maybe you've done a lot of walking or exercising or something like that, and your legs are a little tighter than usual, be compassionate. Start out a little softer, and then maybe make that half as thick, and then maybe you can get rid of it. Okay? Draw the ankles inward. Sit on your heels. I like to just take my hands behind me. We've opened our chest nicely. So can we draw this pelvis up? Lift the chest, head back. And if you can't reach, you know, I just have my knuckles on my feet, and you could put them on, if you're sitting on the blanket, put them on the blanket, but just bring your hands behind you and draw yourself up. And breathe. Again, all those things that we've all probably been doing a lot after our freeze is cleaning up our gardens, and that's a lot of forward bending and stooping over. So this is timely, actually, to counteract what we've been up to. All right, so now take your knees apart. We're going to go Adho Mukha Virasana. So we're going to go, you know, our face toward the floor. We're going to put our hands on the blocks. So remember here, the important thing, you have to think about your human nature and then how to enhance that. My human nature, at the very least, would be, let me adjust my camera a little bit. That's going to be better. My human nature would tell me that it's just fine, okay, to just go, right? That would be much easier for me. We're in yoga class and that doesn't work. We have to lift up, extend over, and keep this upper back in as we go forward. Keep the lumbar in as we go forward. And so maybe you can just maybe touch your blocks at first, you stay up a little bit. And then, so can you scoot your hands forward and your hips back, abdomen up. Hips back, abdomen up. And you can push a little bit on your blocks to help that. So work your way into the pose. And if you find, like this morning, I did spend my weekend just as I described in my garden. And so my body remembers that I've been forward a lot and it wants to help. So I have to go back and say, no, I'm going to do it differently. Lift my abdomen. Work the sit bones, keep them down. Extend my arms. Those shoulders have been pulling in more than they've been extending. And get that action. Gosh, I didn't realize how appropriate this was. Okay. When you have your hands on the blocks, you may not get your forehead on the floor without just really dropping it. So for now, let's just leave it up. I want to get this action in the body better. Push the blocks forward, push your sit bones backward, draw your abdomen up, let the armpits open. Okay, then we're going to come up on all fours. Now, if you've got a blanket here, it's a kind of a drag. So get rid of it. And we're going to go up to downward dog. And get way up on your toes. Way up on your toes. Press up through your shoulders. Lift the sit bones, lift the abdomen, the thoracic spine in, look at the floor. Then adjust your feet so you're on the front of your foot, not on your toes. Sure, you got your hands pressing firmly downward on your block as you bring your heels back. Keep the trunk action. So go up and back a couple of times. Warm up those muscles to get the action and the tracking proper. And then once you've got some response from your body, ask for more. Work your way into a better and better position. So spread the hamstrings, lift the kneecaps, press the heels down and the thighs and the shins back. Press the hands down and lift up through your arms and your armpits, which we've already prepared for this. The thoracic spine is in, head is in line. All right, let's come down to all fours. Toes together. Extend back. Come forward. And come up, knees together. This time we're going to go to cobra. Now, if you have a couple of blankets or a bolster nearby, use this for your pelvis the first time. It teaches us something. Bolster's a little bit high for me, but it's still going to teach us something. So our hands are going to be on the blocks, pelvis on the bolster. Stretch your legs back and lift your knees. Roll your shoulders under and lift that thoracic spine in and up. Feel how you press back through your heels. Lift the knees. Draw the tailbone and pubic bone toward one another and draw that thoracic spine forward, pulling your shoulders back. Then you could put your knees down and come back. Now, if that worked well, you can keep the bolster. If it was really instructive for you, just keep it. If you want to see what you can do the next level, challenge level, let's do without the blocks now. If you keep the bolster, keep the blocks. If you don't have the bolster, if you're going flat on the floor, get rid of them. Okay, so sit back on your heels. Push the floor, knees apart. Draw the abdomen in. So you, in a way, I tend to collapse in my lumbar. So in a way, I feel like I'm rounding my back. But so we have to learn that our perception is not always perfect. So when we're correcting something, it then never feels quite right. So then slide your space forward, keep your elbows in, tuck your knees under, straighten your legs, lift up, and keep the legs straight. Draw your chest forward, shoulders back. And then go to downward dog. Upward dog. Downward dog. Get those heels. Upward dog. Knees out. Knees up. And downward dog. And come to the floor. That maybe got your heart rate up a little bit. Okay. Now we're gonna sit at the floor, Dandasana. Again, I know you two both need a cushion at the wall. So take a blanket and fold it. So that you can sit at the wall. And lean forward and scoot your hips way back. Bring your feet together in Baddha Konasana. See that your hips stay. In Baddha Konasana, many of us have the tendency to lean forward because it makes life easier, and the knees come up. So we work on two things, getting the thighs to extend. Don't really think about it as your knees go down. Think about extending the inner thigh and sitting up straight with the shoulder blades at the wall. So your hips are at the wall, your shoulder blades and the back of your head can be at the wall. Then you can use your hands on the inner legs coming from the groin area, just open hand, pressing out, pressing down. You can be pretty firm here. These are big old muscles and they take a lot of persuasion. So I'm not pushing my knee down. I want to extend these inner thigh muscles. So push firmly. Don't be sweet about that. You've got to push really firmly. All right, bring your feet in. Stretch your legs out. You can stay at the wall. Take your legs apart, Upavishta Konasana. Just that hip flesh. Move your sit bones back to the wall so that you're sitting up. Your feet are perpendicular to the floor, heels pressed out, toes pull back. Shoulder blades back, head back, lift up. This now, you may notice, requires a little bit more abdominal action than even the feet together. You can experiment. Let's bring the feet together, Dandasana. Bring your feet together. Lift up, head and shoulders at the wall, fingertips right beside. Notice what's required for that. Then take your legs out, Upavishta, open angle. Press the legs down, toes up, heels out, back to the wall. Do you feel there's a difference required here in the trunk? I do. All right. So then this can be helpful. Bring your elbows up to your support, to your wall. Draw your shoulders back, lift your chest up, and that will push you forward just a little bit. Press your legs down. Think about those inner thighs lengthening. If that's easy, lift your elbows up a little higher. Begin to bring your hands back to the wall. This is great because it keeps your chest open, shoulders down. You keep working, pushing your hands into the wall, and lifting your chest. Pressing your legs down, lengthening your trunk, making them go to work. Push the heels out, pull the toes back, open your chest. Keep breathing. Now, if you can, reach over and grab your big toe, 2 fingers between the big toe and the other. If you can't, you can grab your shin and pull. Now, take your hands back to the wall for just a quick review. Okay, that's how it felt when I was as open and lifted as possible. Can I keep that and bring my hands forward? I want this lift in the trunk and in the drawing back of the shoulders to stay. Press those legs down, grab your shins and pull, grab your toes and pull. If you have 2 belts, you could use 2 belts here. And breathe. And then come up. So it's very important to notice what we do to accommodate ourselves when we transition from one movement to the next. And when we practice yoga, gives us a really good chance to notice those things. And that can carry on into every day. All right, now bring your feet in. Baddha Konasana one more time. Heels in. Adjust your hips. Press those thighs out. Lift the trunk. So lift from the pubic bone up. Shoulders back. Head back. Extend the inner thighs and press them down. Press the thighs apart and down. Press them down. And breathe. And then release. Now, gonna go to one of our favorites, Anatasana. This is on the floor, on the side. So remember how I said you should get in a straight line. And it's helpful to just use the edge of the side of your mat to show you what that is. So put your ankle on the mat, then the knife edge of your hip on the edge of the mat, and then the elbow on the edge of the mat. The feet are flexed and extended. Press out through your heels and lift up through your trunk so that you can get yourself in that position and feel balanced. Okay, so this sort of looks like you're posing on the beach in Cabo. That's it. So now, can you extend that arm and take your armpit right on that line without your feet wavering around looking for a new place to be? And get your armpit to stretch. Give that a moment. Now the challenge comes when we bend the arm. Okay, that's not too bad. But when you lift your head up, of course the armpit comes up. So once we've got the head, and the hand is in this direction, thumb is down, and it goes over your ear. So then you've got to extend your elbow further out. Top arm on the side of the body. Feet are flexed. Now remember here, you want to press down through the heel. And if you need a strap, I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier, bend that knee and grab your ankle if you can't. Grab your shin or your ankle. So grab in front of your thigh. Yeah. If you have a strap nearby, grab it. And get your balance. That's the main thing. Draw your knee back. Press that top hip forward and open. Right, so you can put your hand here and just sort of lean, play with it and lean into it a bit and then push that thigh back so that there's some action there. There's a challenge. And then if you can, bring that knee closer to your trunk, grab your big toe, stretch it up, and straighten it out. This This is Anatasana, Vishnu's couch. I didn't name these things. I can't explain them. Okay, come on down. And we're going to change sides. One thing that's important in this pose is to get the openness in the back and the lift in the front. I think I can show you this if I go from this direction. So if you'll watch for a moment, I'll go this way. I'm on the other arm though. So first we lay down, look and see, use the edge of your mat to see if you're straight. Right on the edge of your hip, laying on the armpit. Then extend the upper arm, put your head in your hand with the fingers pointing down and extend until the armpit comes down to the floor, or at least in that direction. Now, when we bend this knee up, well, first let's practice balancing here so that we press the heel down and the pelvis is perpendicular, right? Then we want to keep that and bring the knee up. Well, what happens, I think to most everybody, is that the hip wants to roll back to counterbalance. So by bringing the knee up here, you begin to have an opportunity to learn to pull the knee back and press the hip forward. And that's an important action. And then notice what happened to your foot, to your leg. Did it change? How about your chest? And did your head change? Did anything change when you made that action? So that hip has, the muscles there have to be firm. Now, when we take our leg up, even if we've managed to correct this at this point, when we take our leg up, the hip again wants to help us. Do you see how my hip fell and my leg went forward? And so I had this problem with this pose for many years. So I began to imagine that I was a sail on a sailboat on a nice breezy day, and the wind would come at my back and open up my sail, and I could get my legs straight and right over my body, and my chest lifted, thoracic spine in and up. See if that idea might help. And breathe. And then bend your knee and come down. All right. And come up. I love that pose. I love it because I flopped around on the floor for a very long time learning that pose. I really had a hard time learning the balance on it. And it's very typical that when we persist in a pose that's given us a hard time, if we persist and we conquer it, we're very proud of ourselves. I'm very proud of myself. And so I like to do it now to remind myself that I conquered something, I did it. All right, let's then, let's do just a little twist. So again, we're going to sit for just a minute. So you can sit on your blanket. If you're fine just sitting on the floor, that's fine too. Okay. But just sit up a little bit if you need to. We want to sit Swastikasana. So our feet are a little bit wider. This is simple cross legs when we cross our ankles. These aren't even ankles. This is a different pose. This is like what Buddha did, right? This is sort of just casual, simple cross legs. So the feet go further apart, Swastikasana. Feet are flexed around the edges of the feet. Keep your hands on the blanket, fingertips. Okay, so start with the base. Where are your sit bones? Draw those sit bones into your support. Draw the pelvis perpendicular. Release the thighs down. Lengthen the side body. We've had plenty of practice with that in our practice today. Head back, jawline parallel to the floor. Slow, steady breath. Now, I'll mirror you. Take your left hand. We're going to go across and put that on the right knee. And let me say that if that then caused you to lose your posture and close your chest, well, that's not going to be allowed. Use the right hand on the back to make sure that you keep your lift, and maybe just take your hand halfway. So don't lose this. Keep this and go halfway. And see, can you turn your trunk a bit? Then see, can you move your hand a little further, maybe down your shin? Maybe it'll go to your knee now without losing that posture. Lift up the shoulder on the front side. Do not dip like this. That's what I can't see very well, Lee, but that's what I think I see you doing. So lift up both sides equally, shoulders down, and twist to your right side. And take some time and work with your breath. You can look straight ahead, like you're still looking at the camera perhaps. And then you can look behind, adjusting your shoulders, lifting your trunk. Look straight ahead. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, look behind, pull the shoulders back, open your chest. Stay there. Next inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Take a breath. Can you feel the difference on your two sides? Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the second side. So now your left hand's going to go behind. Your right hand's going to go across. Take the left hand behind. See that you've got something firm to press into. And then this right hand is going to go across. But it's not about just crossing it. Let your body twist a little bit and use your hand along the way to make sure this part is twisting, right? It's twists from the bottom to the top. So work it. Make sure your body's doing what you're asking. It will try to be lazy if yours is anything like mine. Okay. So lift and get that twist and look forward. Let that forward side open and look back. Open up in the back, lift your chest. Look forward. Look back. Can you deepen that pose any amount? Lifting up, opening. And look forward and release. All right. Let's then do, both of you have bolsters. I know you do. So take your bolster and a block to the wall. And you'll need a blanket. And if you have some straps, you can use them. You don't need them. And it's not always taught with this pose, but it can be nice. We're going to do legs up the wall. So it can be nice sometimes to have your thighs strapped. Okay, so we can, all right, let me show you how to get on. If you sit on the edge, and I think both of you know, but we sit on the edge and scoot so that the hip is touching the wall. And we're on the edge. And then put that, if you're going to use the strap, you're going to put that strap over your thighs, up in the meaty part, and just firm it in. Right? Then you're going to lean back. I'll put my forearm on the ground, roll over, use these arms to help get me around, move the hips toward the wall, wiggle a little, hold on to the bolster, and lay down. So your shoulders should be on the floor and your head is on the floor. Your feet are your hips are as close to the wall as you can comfortably take them. Your hamstrings are tighter. You may be a little further, but move in so that you're getting, I won't say a stretch here, but enough action. So there's just a little bit of attention drawn to the legs. We're going to relax the legs in just a moment. And that's really why I like to have this strap a lot of times. Oh, take your glasses off too. Take glasses off. Shoulder blades roll under. So roll these shoulders from top to bottom. Feel that wonderful lift in your chest. Enjoy this moment for just a few breaths. And as you are ready, on an exhale, begin to close your eyes and let your awareness sink in. And take a couple of breaths, being attentive to the shoulders. Could they roll under any more? Can the chest be more open? Is your face in line with your sternum? Are your arms comfortably? They don't have to be straight or bent, but somewhere in between there. And then can you begin to relax your legs? On an exhale, begin to relax yourself into this pose. Relax your face. Relax your jaw and your tongue. In this pose, you are more aware of the breath in your chest. Really experience the opening of the rib cage, the lifting of the sternum as you breathe on the inhale, and the softening, relaxing on the exhale. See if that is even and equal for you. When that seems to be working well, bring just a little more attention down to the pelvic floor. So the pubis, the pubic bone and tailbone should not be tipped up. They should be parallel to the floor. Let your inhale move it to the pelvic floor and build up to the sternum. And let your exhale move from the pelvic floor up to this upper chest area. It's a matter of attention and intention. Attention, intention. Do that, maintaining the softness of your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. Feel the breath gently move through the body from the pelvic floor upward. When we begin a breath like this, it requires some thought. We stay with that thoughtfulness for a bit and then see, can we allow our awareness to move deeper inward, allowing the breath to continue in a little more natural way without the effort, but with still the attention and intention. Allow your breath to be slow and steady, smooth, even, compassionate. This breath is such a tender, wonderful thing. Treat it as you would treat an infant, a small child, with this love and compassion, appreciation. After your inhale, take a slow, steady exhale. We're going to release the pose by bending the knees, loosening the belt if you used one. Sliding off the bolster toward the middle of your womb. And then rolling to your side to sit up. That is so yummy. All right, now Shavasana. So move your props out of your way. Move yourself to a position where you can take your arms to the side, palms up. Oh, and you can remember, since you have your bolster nearby or a blanket, my blanket's closer, I'm going to use that. It can really be relaxing to rest something right there at the top thigh. So settle yourself down. When you lay down, lift your chest, take your trunk back, adjust your shoulder blades underneath you. Your blanket should touch the top of your shoulders, and your jaw should be parallel to the floor or slightly tucked. Shoulders down, chest is then supported. Arms to the side, palms up, resting on the center, this center knuckle. If you're on your pinky, try to roll toward that center knuckle. If you over rotate, like I love to do, you're on that index finger, roll a little more toward that center knuckle. And settle your spine, your ribs, not your spine. Your spine should stay lifted. Settle your ribs down toward the floor. And notice how they are resting. People with scoliosis are going to notice one side goes to the floor quicker. And so if you've noticed that, adjust your legs, your hips a bit, lift your chest again, and release again. You can imagine. Ask yourself, how would it feel if both sides of my ribs press the floor equally? How would it feel if both shoulders relaxed evenly on the floor? How would it feel if both arms felt the same on the floor? How would it feel if the legs released evenly? In the beginning of Shavasana, be aware of your breath, breathing slowly with awareness, just as we did in Viparita Karani, the legs up the wall. Revisit that breath for a few rounds, and then settle into an easy breath. Relaxing your face, jaw, tongue. Relaxing your eyes so they seem to sink a little deeper in the sockets, and look downward or inward to quiet the mind. Although the mind is quiet now, it is still present. It is aware. With that awareness, small little improvements can happen by just noticing an imbalance or an inequality and asking for symmetry. And when you feel that you've covered the subject there, allow your mind to then penetrate deeper and rest on the breath. So that the mind rides with the breath, the awareness, not the mind, this deeper in awareness Rides on the breath as it spreads through the chest and out the arms to the hands and fingers and back again. As it spreads through the trunk and the belly and back again. As it spreads down the legs, through the hip joints, down the legs to the feet and toes, and back again. Finally, it moves up the neck, through the skull, across the face, and back again. You can repeat that in any areas that you found reluctant or imbalanced, but eventually simply rest in the center of your being, which is up to you where that might be. And sit steady with that breath, allowing it to continue its work as you sit steady with the breath. On your next exhale, bring that awareness deep inside, and as you inhale, let it begin to move toward the surface, bending fingers and toes, wrists and ankles move, bending elbows. One at a time, bend your knees. If you had something over your thighs, remove it. Stretch your arms along the floor overhead. Draw those shoulders down. And then roll on your right side. And rest there for a moment, knees bent. Then roll forward. Push yourself up to sitting. Sit straight and tall. Bring your hands to your knees or your thighs, closer in, but palms up. Sit straight, sit tall, eyes closed. Openness, gratitude for all of our blessings. Palms together, thumb side goes to the sternum and gently lifts that skin. Shoulders down, neck long. Take an inhale, lift from the bottom, up through your trunk. Keep that lift as you exhale and bow your head for a moment in gratitude for all the blessings of your life. Namaste. Thank you for coming.